One of the things that irks me when it comes to fantasy football is trade voting, and I believe that trade voting is just as bad as collusion. And honestly, it's one of the biggest ways to kill a fantasy football league. And trade voting itself also brings on collusion, so it's like, what are we doing here? I believe that you, and only you, should have the power to dictate how you want to manage your roster. No one else should have any sort of influence on how you're supposed to run your team and what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. It's just like me coming into your house and then I start telling you what to do and how you should manage your house. And of course, you're not going to like that. That's literally what trade voting is. It's like you are giving orders to other members on how they should manage their rosters and how they should do it. You don't see NFL teams go out there and they start vetoing trades based on what 2 teams or 3 teams want to do for their own interests. They're doing what's best for them, not what's best for like the entire league itself. And I believe that the same concept should apply for fantasy football. You make trades that are based off for your own interests and for the other person's interests. The goal in fantasy football is to win a championship. And the only way you're going to do that is making your roster the best way possible. Whether if it's waiver wire additions or if it's through trades. And if you want to make trades, you want to make trades that feel like that can bring you a championship. And I feel like if you want to do trades, go for it and do it. You have zero limit whatsoever. And if a trade happens and it seems like it's lopsided, let it go through. Chances are you might be wrong. It may not be lopsided whatsoever. It might be best for both sides. Let's say, for example, a trade happens and somebody trades away George Kittle and Michael Pittman in exchange for CeeDee Lamb. That is not a vetoable trade. It may look lopsided, but that's a trade that should not be vetoed. A lot of times, roster context matters. Let's say the team that had CeeDee Lamb and that was going to trade away CeeDee Lamb really needs to get an elite tight end because he's got good wide receivers, but he needs to get a really good tight end. Well, maybe he can afford by giving away CeeDee Lamb to get George Kittle so that way his team gets balanced. And he can probably afford Michael Pittman if he's like a wide receiver too, at the very best. And the team that is getting CeeDee Lamb by trading away Michael Pittman and George Kittle probably needs to get a really good wide receiver because he probably has a tight end that's probably not bad at all. You can't just trade based off of fairness because how do you know if this ends up being fair or not? And I know there's going to be that crowd that's going to be like, oh, but that guy's already got good players and he's getting another good player. We don't want him to get better. Like, guys, isn't that the purpose of fantasy football? To be the best team in the league so that you can win a championship? Why are we limiting this? This makes absolutely no sense to me. And if you're going to have an issue by that, by just trade voting and doing all that stuff, then you might as well not play fantasy football. I believe that the best way to handle trades in fantasy football is just to disable trade voting and just let trades go through. Even if it may seem like it's lopsided, just let it go through. There's a reason why both sides agreed to it. The only person that should have vetoing powers is the commissioner, and the only time the commissioner should veto is if, and only if, there is obvious collusion.